At first, I thought I was worried that I wouldn't be able to talk about this because I couldn't get a hold of the tweet, even though it was tweeted, well, tagged to me through another post. But then I realized that I had been blocked this toad faced idiot. But don't worry, after I'm done making this video, I'm gonna go right back to blocking his ass. So you were seeing a tweet that came from none other than Larry Elder in response to something that Donna tweeted onto his page, or maybe said on his platform on CNN. It reads, "Dear Don Lemon, each year there are about 400,000 black, white, interracial violent crimes, murder, attempted murder, rape, manslaughter, and assault with a weapon. 85% are black, perps slash white victim. Who should quote unquote fear whom? But hey, let's talk about the rise of white supremacists." Now, I just did a video talking about that leak that involved the FBI and BIE, which is Black Identity Extremists, quote unquote, because like I said, that thing is not even real. And this rhetoric that Larry Elder puts out there to his base, which is majority white. I don't know many black people that pay attention and listen to Larry Elder. I know I don't, which is why I blocked him. And like I said, I will be blocking him when I am done recording this video. But I just needed to unblock him just to pull up this tweet. He puts out the same type of rhetoric that lamestream media puts out there, and that's why they keep bringing him on, asking him his opinion. Notice I said his opinion because he doesn't bring any facts. And speaking of not bringing any facts, he didn't bring not one factual statement within his tweet to Don Lemon, because he didn't put up one stat. He just put out something extremely inflammatory, and it goes along with the whole BIE thing that says that we are this extremely violent group of people, when that is far from the case. I asked you this, Larry Elder. Toadface, did you not see the amount of mass shootings that happened within the last month? And the fact that two of them happened within the same day, where there were many casualties involved. And both of them were extremely racist. Did you not see the people who were doing copycats or attempting to do the same exact thing in other locations? One of those locations happened to be overseas in Norway, where he shot up a mosque and said his inspiration was one of his inspirations was from the shooter in El Paso. Did you not see where it stated that out of the 216 days so far, well, at that time of that report, out of the 216 days in 2019, there were 251 mass shootings, basically stating that there have been more mass shootings that occurred in 2019 than days that have passed. And we still have quite a bit of 2019 left to go, and school is getting ready to start up, and we know they are attracted to mass school shootings. But like I said, the thing that got me was the fact that he didn't pull up one stat. And it doesn't surprise me, because palm-colored conservatives do the same exact thing. See, as long as they can put out something like this in reference to ADOS, and I'm gonna start to get into the habit of saying ADOS more, because if you say it more often, then it becomes a habit, and that'll be a good habit for us to have. So when you put something out there like this that targets ADOS so many times, like I said, if I call ourselves that, for them it becomes a habit. You tell a lie so many times, eventually it starts to sound like the truth. So when you tack on what he says and what Fox News especially says out there, and because they both get the same kind of demographic audience, which is majority palm colored, then they'll start to believe that it's facts. I scrolled down through his thread and not one person produced one stat to back up what he said, but they all, for the most part, agreed with what he said. I even saw one woman say, "Why are blacks so violent?" That's what she said. She said, "Why are blacks so violent?" But he still didn't produce one stat. It was only one palm colored person in that entire thread that I saw that actually asked him to produce a stat. Or why didn't he give a stat? And I think someone replied to him and tried to say, why does he need to have a stat? What he's saying is true. See, they will believe the most blasphemous lies about us because in their mind, they have been trained like a dog to believe the worst of us and believe that anything that they do had to be because of something else other than what it is. Oh, it was about video games. Oh, it was mental illness. You know, they starting to say video games it's a whole lot more. And you want to know why? The World Health Organization replaced transgenderism with gaming. So now they can use that as a mental illness playing card when it comes to something like this, such as mass shootings. The people over there at WHO, the World Health Organization, know exactly what they're doing. What if that was the ploy the whole time? So when these mass shootings happen and occur, in a vacuum like that, they could use gaming or video games as an example. You saw what they're doing now, like at Walmart. They'll still sell the games, but they'll pull down the displays that are showing or advertising that particular game, but they'll still sell them. They just can't have it as a display. Like those cardboard cutouts, they can't have that up anymore. So like now, that thought of what the World Health Organization, that just kind of popped up into my head. But I said, what if that was the case or the ploy the entire time? So they could have a reason to blame it on that. They said, you know what? We've ran its course with the mental illness thing. We need to have another one. So let's go back to saying video games, because that whole blaming it on the video games, that's nothing new. I remember when Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out years ago, and we all know how popular that game was. They used that as a reason why people were going around stealing cars or robbing people, and in some cases killing people. It wasn't because of that game. People been doing that, and to this day, people still do that. And when did the last Grand Theft Auto game come out? What, like 5-6 years ago, maybe? I can't remember the exact date. But they just need to have something to blame besides the actual obvious. And then you had Tucker Carlson getting on his platform saying that white supremacy is a hoax. And you know they like watching him too. And they'll eat it up. Even though the system that we're living in is rooted in palm-colored supremacy, which really should be called palm-colored inferiority when you really break it all down. The only thing that makes them superior is the fact that they control the economy. Snatch that away, and their little superior house of cards comes crashing down. But then when you look at some of the people that are in charge of the economy, it's like, how in the hell did they even remain there? But, that's another discussion for another day. But yeah, Larry Elder puts out this tweet and they automatically all believe it. But you know what? In this instance, Larry Elder is a useful fool because it shows us that a lot of these palm-colored individuals are not as high Q as they claim to be. Never have been, to be quite honest. Many of them don't have a single solitary thought in their brain to save their life. That's why many of them are doing copycat missions with these mass shootings. Oh, let's go to Walmart with these big military style guns and see if we can scare some people. They are actually doing that. Like, they're actually going out there and trying to scare people by doing that. And then when they ask them if they managed to apprehend them, oh, well, we just wanted to see what it was like. Oh, really? So you just go out there for fun to terrorize people and realize I said terrorize, and they never called them, or barely called them, a terrorist. That's why it always catches us by surprise that they call them that in news reports. Lisa Cabrera did a video, and this is another rhetoric that they like to come up with. Lisa Cabrera just recently did a video where she was talking about how the law enforcement targets or is really more dangerous to black people. To ADOS more than any other group, especially palm-colored people. Because there's been this long-running myth that it was the opposite. And she made a good point. Or maybe, I don't know if it was her or somebody else. If that was the case, then how come every time there's an incident that involves ADOS, it usually ends violently? But when it ends, if it's a situation involving palm color, it usually ends a whole nother way. Because a lot of the videos I've seen with palm colored and their interactions with law enforcement, it always involves them fighting law enforcement. I did a video last month where there's a guy was literally charging at one of those cops with a knife. Shot him a couple times, maybe with a taser or something like that, and he got right back up and started the charge again, and then managed to get one of his partners in a headlock and then reach for his gun, and then that's when they shot him to death. I remember the one where the guy was in the car, was fighting the cop, and then stole his police cruiser and drove away on more than one occasion. It wasn't the same case, but it was two different instances. But when it comes to to ADOS, it's a whole nother thing. And then they can get them on the most low level of things to talk about. I just did a video talking about a football player who they arrested for what they believed to be cocaine on the hood of his car when it turned out to be nothing more than bird shit. That one right there still makes me shake my head and like chuckle a little bit, not because the situation is funny, but because of how idiotic they are. And usually a lot of times if a palm colored cop gets into it with another white person and something happens to that person, they'll be dealt with accordingly. But when it happens with us, paid administrative leave, or if anything happens to them at all, no charges brought up upon them. Look at what happened with Daniel Pantaleo. But like I said, when you have people like Larry Elder putting out stuff like this and don't have not one stat to back it up, and you have an entire audience that literally hangs off of that even without stats, that is dangerous. But like I said, he's a useful fool, because while he is still a fool, the usefulness comes in because it literally exposes how dumb they are. That they will believe anything negative or bad that will be said about us, even if it is a lie. Well, based on their track record right now, lies with an S, plural, because there's been many of them put out there about us. And one reason why these lies have been able to flourish is because they run this system. They run the media. They run the law enforcement. They run the military. They pretty much run anything that keeps this thing going, especially on an economic level. If we had our own media and our own everything, we could literally combat against this narrative. And I'm not even going to lie, we've made some strides, especially with these politicians, these Democrats, for the last couple of months, which is why we've received so much pushback as well. You see that they on CNN trying to get this all black panel lined up. And when I saw the lineup, I said, I know exactly what they're trying to do. They will not get my viewership. And someone has said that I was reading a comment in Lisa Cabrera's comment section. They said that they should have me and her on there. I said, I think I speak for us both when I say we humbly and sincerely decline, because they will cut the mic on both of us and we would not be invited back. That would be a grand opening with an even faster grand closing. Because I already know what they're going to talk about. They're going to be like kissing the Democrats' ass and a whole bunch of other stuff, talking about immigrants, this and that, and not even worried about it. But the minute if we was to bring up reparations, oh, we can't talk about that because we already know what their stance is. And it doesn't line up with ours. We would constantly clash. But yeah, people like Larry Elder. Like I said, it doesn't surprise me with what he said. None of it does. Him, Jesse Lee Peterson, and a host of other individuals. Sometimes I think a lot of them say this for shock value. But like I said with Tucker Carlson in my other video, nothing they say is even remotely shocking, nor is it of value. But that's really all I have to say as it pertains to this fool right here. I'm going to go ahead and end this video so I can go back to blocking his ass.